So for Yes, hi folks. We are starting the lunch talk for today. As in the first presentation, Mr. Dave Adamo talking about a lot of exciting, rocketry, chemical, electric, nuclear propulsion, a lot of, work, jobs. And in AIAA, we really cherish the workforce, and especially Los Angeles. And we have Olympics coming up, soccer, World Cup, and just Adam said, it's a Super Bowl, right? And also, actually, 2000, the year after, we'll have the International Asteroid Year. So a lot of things coming up, and we really want to help the workforce here. So it's a very important task force for AIAA. So please stay if you could, because listening to this interesting and important talk from the city of Los Angeles. Mr. Adam Foss is working in a group called the CEO, it's related to, it's a good name. Basically, he's working on the inclusive hiring and there's some new regulation, which is very vital for aerospace employer. In case you work in Boeing, Northrop Grumman, Millennium Space, Jet Zero or Millennium Space, or even the school, you need to know what is AIA's opportunity. So this is the beginning. We are going to develop our the workforce development. AIAA has called career and workforce development. So please let's listen to Mr. Adam Foss and learn more. And in the future, we are getting more career and workforce information for you, especially in aerospace. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to start by thanking Ken because I met Ken because he didn't actually come to the info session that we were hosting. He got the invite and sent an email after the invite saying, "Hey, I can't make it, but this sounds really interesting. I'd like to find out more about what you're doing." And I know you guys have been sitting here in the dark for a while, so I'm actually not going to put my slides up because I would rather just talk to you about something that I care about. My name is Adam Foss. I am what is called a Fair Chance Hiring Advisor at an organization called the Center for Employment Opportunities in Los Angeles. Normally, our organization helps people who are transitioning home from prison and get them plugged into the labor force so that they can not just get a job, but get something like a career they can build on, skill up, and live in the economy the way that we want them to so that they don't go back to prison. Prison is an extremely costly venture. If you were a business owner and you're running a prison, you would be fired by your board because prisons almost always fail. 80% of the people who are coming out of prison every single year return within 3 years. If it was a private business, again, shareholders would be going crazy. Board of directors would be firing whoever's running it because nothing can run like that and fail that much except for government agencies like prisons. We usually blame it on the people who are coming out of the prisons for their failures, even though prisons are literally called correctional centers. If you're not doing the correcting, then you shouldn't really exist. So if prison doesn't work to help people stay safe and stay home, there must be something else because there are lots of neighborhoods in this country where nobody ever goes to prison. There are lots and lots of neighborhoods in this country where you can walk down the street, knock on every single door, and everyone will tell you, "No, I've never been to prison. My children have never been to prison. My parents have never been to prison." And if you go to those neighborhoods, and if you go to other neighborhoods that aren't like that, and you look around for the differences are just resources. I was a criminal prosecutor in Boston for 10 years, and on the first day of my job, I walked into a courthouse with one tool at my disposal, jail and prison. That was the tool that was given to me by the law school that I went to, the government that I started working for. They said, "We want our neighborhoods to be safe, and the way that we're going to make them safe is by anybody who comes in here, we're going to punish them, we're going to ostracize them, and that's going to teach them a lesson so they don't do the thing again." The unfortunate consequence of that, of course, is when you punish and shame and ostracize someone, the likelihood that they succeed in life is significantly reduced. And so as a very young prosecutor, I had the opportunity, because of where I was working, to experiment with some other things to arrive at the outcomes that we all wanted. We all want safety. We all want people who have been harmed to feel like they've had that harm repaired. We want accountability. We want people who have done harm to understand the harm that they've done so that they don't do it again. Those are values and virtues that we can all agree upon. What I have never agreed upon, and the reason that I'm at CEO now, is the tool to arrive at that outcome cannot be and should not be punishment, ostracization, and isolation. It has to be giving people the opportunity, once they've served their time, for a second chance. And that second chance almost always starts with employment. Housing and education are neck and neck, but employment, the opportunity to become self-sufficient, self-sustaining, is the number one thing that people who are coming out of prison will tell you that they need. And not a job at Dunkin' Donuts or a job at McDonald's, no shade on those. They need something that they can feel good about. They need something that they can thrive upon, have their own independent housing, have a car, have some resources, and raise their family. And so that's where we at CEO come in. We come in at the place where people are coming out of prison. We give them skills that are a little bit more relevant today. I was in a women's prison 5 years ago in Massachusetts, and they boasted this workforce program that they had in their prison for women who are transitioning home. 80% of the 80% of the women who are in prison are single mothers. And so when they come home, not only do they have to take care of themselves, they have to take care of their family. Does anybody want to know? Does anybody want to guess what the workforce opportunities were for the women in the prison in 2024 when I was in the prison?
Like 3%.
No. What were the workforce opportunities? What were women eligible to get trained in prison in 2024 to make them hit the ground running when they got out of prison and get a job?
They're like
Close.
Like
Close.
3%.
Anybody?
Housekeeping.
Housekeeping? No. Good guess.
Laundry, working.
Getting closer. Sewing.
Oh, that makes sense.
That was the opportunity. There was a sewing program and a braille bookmaking program, like a machine braille bookmaking program, kind of a niche market. There was no opportunity for education. There was no opportunity to learn anything about digital literacy, technology, certainly nothing in there about aerospace. And yet they boasted their resources as a place where they were setting women up to succeed. And I can tell you from deep personal experience that wasn't happening, because we have a system that was designed in the 1700s trying to keep up with demands of today. So why am I here talking to you? Two reasons. One is if you work in Los Angeles and if you are an employer or you know someone who is an employer, a new law passed last year that impacts every employer in the city of Los Angeles because of Los Angeles's commitment to fair chance hiring. You're going to hear me refer to fair chance hiring. That is a term of art that just means the opportunity to hire people that have criminal history, what it looks like to hire somebody with a criminal record. The law passed last year. The way that many laws pass, somebody somewhere far away from the problem had a good idea. They went out, they shopped around the idea, and they passed this law to strengthen a law that already existed that was passed by Governor Jerry Brown in 2018 called the Fair Chance Act. I'm going to talk about the history of it in a minute, but what you need to know is that law didn't do what the proponents wanted it to. So last year, the county commissioners got together and they said, we're going to create a new law. It's going to be even stronger and harder, and it's going to make sure that we close this gap of people who are coming out of prison and not finding employment. That law exposes businesses to really severe penalties. And that's the scary part of the law. The part of the law that is, I think, beneficial is the pathways that it creates for people who are just as impacted in the ways that it hasn't before. So we're going to talk about the law in a minute. But first, I'm just going to talk about business generally. We are on the precipice of a historic labor shortage. And that is true in every industry across the board. And it's not because of the robots taking our jobs. It's not because of AI. We are on the brink, and in fact, in many ways, we're already experiencing this labor shortage, this historic labor shortage that's been caused by a few factors. And maybe you've been to Target recently, or maybe you've been to Home Depot like I was this morning, or maybe you've been to a local coffee shop and you're wondering, like, why aren't these registers operating? Why is there a line of 40 people and all the registers are closed. Why are there so many self-service registers? Sure, it's like a way for companies to make money and cut their bottom line, but every industry in our city across the country is suffering from a labor shortage. And perhaps the most acute example that I can give to you is January, when our county was under siege of really bad wildfires. A million reasons went into why those wildfires were so bad: the winds, fuel reduction, government information at the time of the fire. All of those things are true. But what every subject matter expert will tell you is that the number one reason that those fires got so badly, so quickly, and where they're so out of control was a massive labor shortage in the wildland firefighter sector. Like, we can't hire enough wildland firefighters because the people just aren't there, or so we think the people aren't there. In fact, we have such a labor shortage in our wildland firefighting system that we go into prisons, we take people out of prison, and we put them on the front lines of wildfires to work for free. And so fighting alongside the heroic firefighters that we think about when we think about firefighters are people who at the end of the day get handcuffs put on and get sent back to prison, and they're paid $1 a day to do it. They put their lives at much risk as the other firefighters. But at the end of the day, they go back to a prison cell and they sit there until the next day to come out and fight the fires. And the crazy irony of that is they're getting world-class training about how to do this thing that we really, as Californians, we really need them to be able to do. But when they come home, because of their criminal record, they're not allowed to do it. Despite serving all of this time, despite saving countless lives and millions and billions of dollars in damage, people are disqualified from doing the very thing that they had been doing for years because of a piece of paper that said you messed up once when you were a kid. Or you messed up lots of times because you're suffering from a mental health issue or a substance abuse issue. And we say, no, you can't work here. And so that person is now left into the community without resources and the opportunity to go work in something that can have a career and have pride in. And so we have this labor shortage that is happening because of a few things. Number one, the largest workforce, the largest body of workforce ever to go to work, the baby boomers, are leaving the workforce. And they're followed up by the next greatest group of people ever to enter the labor force, and that's millennials. But because millennials were raised in a certain way, went through a different kind of education, they're not going to the traditional jobs where boomers went, and they're leaving. And so there's this massive crater. There's this massive crater of shortage of skilled workers for the jobs that millennials just aren't taking that the boomers are leaving. On top of that, millennials are just having fewer kids. Millennials just have had way fewer kids. We're also suffering from a population shortage. And so we're on now a 2-generational backlog of really shrinking labor markets. All right. The pandemic cost us millions and millions of people who just left the state because they couldn't stay here during the pandemic. And so you had all these skilled workers going to places like Texas, North Carolina, Massachusetts, New York, leaving this state to go elsewhere to make money. The wildfires themselves saw lots and lots of people leave, both during the fires and people like a lot of my friends who were like, I'm not going to stay here anymore because I can't risk that happening to my family. You've got the immigration debate going on right now. Lots and lots of skilled labor people either being forcibly removed from the workplace or just choosing not to go to work anymore because they're afraid. And whatever your political views are, we are on the precipice of a massive crisis, which is really ironic because on the other side of the equation, the part of the work that I do is I go to community resource fairs, I go to prisons, I go to juvenile detention facilities, I go to DA's offices, I go to lots and lots of places where people are starving for work. There are 80 million people just in this state that are unemployed because of a criminal record. And what they need is an opportunity. What they need is an opportunity to work. So you set aside just the labor shortage piece of it, and now you've got another problem. It is the cost of hiring people. Hiring is the greatest loss that any business faces any year. Does anybody want to just guess how much money businesses across the United States lose every single year? And by businesses, I mean the economy, and by the economy, I mean us. Do you know how much money we lose every single year just because of employee churn? Take a guess. how much money comes out of the economy because of the rotation of workers in and out of employment?
Millions? Millions?
$1 billion. Get a t-shirt. Nice one. Yeah, you get 2 t-shirts actually. You answered the last question right. $1 billion. That $1 billion is just coming out. It's lost money. It's wasted money. And we get nothing for it except for an empty seat in an office building somewhere or a store somewhere. And the reason that I met Ken was Ken called me after an info session that we had, and he said, hey, I work in an industry that nobody ever comes and talks to about second chance hiring. I work in an industry where there's lots and lots and lots of jobs that people can have, but nobody ever comes and asks for them. And I said, well, that's because, people that I work with aren't rocket scientists. And when I went from Ken was like, they don't have to be. There's lots of stuff to do here that doesn't require, a PhD from MIT. What it requires is somebody who is hungry for a new life, is looking for a leg up, is looking to learn new skills, and is looking to plug in. And so the cost of hiring is killing businesses, and they're on top of the costs that we are all losing. We're also facing this massive labor shortage. And so there is, in California acutely, but across the country, we're confronting a major problem. Here, even more acutely, we're about to be hit with the World Cup, with the Olympics, with the Super Bowl. Hundreds of thousands of seasonal jobs are about to flood our economy and take away skilled workers just for a bit of time, just enough to get them going, only to then leave. Me too, I'm glad you're here. I do know how to help with that, luckily. And so we've got this massive problem here. We've got this really, really massive problem here that's going to be costing us money and time. And if you think about the fires, lives, literally cost us lives, this labor shortage. So what do? Well, luckily there's this thing called fair chance hiring. We've got this talent pool of people of all ages who are looking for jobs. And sure, many of them don't have the skills that you might think you need to have to be in a labor market, but lots of them do. What they don't have is the opportunity to get past that front door. Because either a job application has asked them, hey, have you been convicted of a crime? The HR practices and policies of those organizations will block them from employment because they'll ask about their backgrounds and they'll be disqualified because of something a piece of paper says. And it's these policies, these practices that the state has been trying to scratch away at for a long time, because what we think about people with criminal records and what is actually true of them are 2 different things. Okay? Myth number 1, I'm going to be in danger if I bring somebody into my business place that has a criminal record. Every single study that has been done, and there have been hundreds of studies done, show that people with criminal records are no more dangerous and sometimes even less dangerous than any other worker that does not have a criminal record. And you think about I grew up in the 90s. I remember going postal, it was like a thing that we used to say. And for all of those tragedies that happened in those workplaces, all of those people were squeaky clean, very smart people that had never interacted with the criminal justice system. Every study will tell you you are likely in less danger, and in the worst case scenario, you are no more danger than hiring somebody with a criminal record than you are somebody without. Myth number 2, they're not going to care, they're not going to show up. How can you trust them? Every single study that has been done, and there have been hundreds done, will tell you that formerly incarcerated people are more loyal and will stay longer and will be promoted faster than a similarly situated worker that does not have a criminal record. The United States Army did a longitudinal study over 20 years. And what they found was that formerly incarcerated people who got into the military, especially in OCS, were promoted 33 times faster, 33% times more faster than people who do not have criminal records. And that's the Army. 13% of people who are formerly incarcerated are 13% more likely to stay longer, and so you're reducing your cost. In fact, there have been businesses that have saved themselves $1 to $3 million in loss by hiring formerly incarcerated people. Dave's Killer Bread, Costco, Dave's Hot Chicken. There are myriad companies that have shown the model. They've shown the courage and the bravery to hire these folks. They've studied them, and they said, "Oh, actually, these are better employees than anyone else because they stick with you." And there's lots of research and thought and philosophy about why that is true. But for employers, what that means to you is you're saving money by having folks in your business, and you're bringing in somebody that has a completely diverse set of thinking than you. And if you own a business, run a business, or part of a business, you know what it means to have people that have different viewpoints on the team. It's a net positive. And so how did we get here then? The bias that we have had against formerly incarcerated people, and again, like, I shared it for a long time. I shared it until, unfortunately, I became a prosecutor and learned, like, I'm better off giving somebody a job than I am sending them to jail. Tens of thousands of times I saw it play out over the course of my career. That what people say to you when they're coming out of prison, what do you need? What do you need? Just need a job. I need a chance. And that's the solution is this group of people, this untapped talent pool of people who, given the opportunity, the time, the attention, the benefit, those millions of dollars that we're already spending on going out looking for people, training them, onboarding them, interviewing them, doing the background checks, and of course, all the cost that comes with what happens when you hire the wrong person. All of that can be invested in people who are already ready, willing, and able to work. And again, research tells us that it works much better than what we're already doing right now, which is an odd irony because the criminal justice system is the same. We do something different, works out better. Enter the LA Fair Chance Hiring Act. 2018, Governor Jerry Brown sees it's the era of mass incarceration. California is leading the way. We incarcerate more people than most countries on the planet in this state. It costs us hundreds of billions of dollars a year to do it. And so money is coming out of your pocket just to warehouse people. 80% of those people, when they come out, are just going back. And so you're literally wasting your money. It is incredibly unsafe. You're just creating vacuums in communities that are filled with other people who are committing crimes. So it's not actually like a good solution. But what you find is when you give somebody a job, you cut in half their likelihood to go back to prison. All right. So Jerry Brown in 2018 passed the Ban the Box Act. How many have heard that phrase, ban the box? So ban the box was the term of art given to this law because it had some other long name. And what it meant was you can't ask somebody about their criminal record on the job application. Why? Because we want you to get to know this person before they check that box, and you put this application in the no pile. Just like it's not gonna hurt you. Just let them get to the next round. And the idea was, if we ban the box, then we will see some uptick in people who are formerly incarcerated, otherwise just sitting back and getting jobs. Unfortunately, for lots of reasons, over the last 6 years, it didn't happen. We saw an increasing population of people who are coming out and going back in. We've seen an increasing population of people coming out becoming homeless. So an increasing population of people coming out, becoming substance abuse addicted, becoming, unfortunately, victims of homicide and other really negative outcomes for all of us. It costs us all money. And if you're a person like me, an empath, it also costs human lives. And so LA County last year wanted to do something about it. They got together. They said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take that law. We're going to make it hard. We're going to put some teeth on it. And they passed the Fair Chance Hiring Ordinance. I'm going to speak openly about the ordinance because when laws are created, it's usually created by people who are way over there They get reports about a problem. They read those reports. They're like, we're gonna solve this problem by coming up with a solution without actually talking to the people that are impacted, either employers or the people who are looking for the jobs. And I say that because this new law was passed without employers employers just don't know. And so right now, every employer that I've met with, whether you're a small mom and pop store in Compton or the CVS in downtown, does not know that this law has passed and about the new requirements. So I'm just going to talk really, really briefly about the new requirements because the law mandates me to. Number one, job postings or signage. There's just a new sign that I have in that little suitcase over there that has to be posted in your workplace where a person who is seeking a job might look. It's just a signal, and you'll never be able to see a store again without thinking like, where does the sign go? Because in almost every store you go into, there's like a wall with licenses, with sexual harassment training, with community event. Like you'll see it everywhere you go now. At least I do. And you're supposed to have a sign up there. Rule, if you don't, violation, fine, $5,000 fine. All right. So not only did we create new obligations, the maximum that you could be fined under ban the box was 500. Now the starting fine is $5,000. So signage. Number two, job postings. Ban the box said you can no longer, 2018 law, you can no longer use negative language to discourage people with criminal convictions from applying. And so maybe you've seen a job posting in the past that said felons need not apply, must pass a criminal background check to work here, better stuff, worse stuff. It was all the same message. Don't apply here if you've been criminally involved. That was ban the box. New fair chance ordinance says still can't do that, and you need to have language in your job posting encouraging people, criminal records to apply. And so you'll see job postings now that say qualified applicants with criminal convictions are encouraged to apply, will be considered for employment, etc. There's also some language that needs to be in there about if you intend to run a background check, you have to specify in the job posting what job responsibilities might be affected by someone's negative criminal history. And that's because we didn't want people saying, fine, I'll put this stupid language in here, but if I see anything on a criminal record, this person's going to get disqualified, which you can no longer do under this law, because if I have a drunk driving conviction and my job is to sort data and enter into a computer, there's nothing about my conviction that is going to impact my ability to do that work. And so the job posting must list with specificity what duties and responsibilities might be affected by what crimes. Number three, and this is like the meat and potatoes. You can't ask about a person's criminal conviction until you've made a conditional offer of employment. Is that me? John, you got a question? We'll have a Q&A. Is that me or is that someone else? Okay. If you intend to run a background check on someone, you can't whisper about the intention to do so or ask questions about a background check until you've gone through the entire hiring process with that person. You say, we want to hire you. And this, again, the intention is get them through all the steps before this thing that happens when we talk about criminal convictions comes into play. It is a very human thing that we all have implicit bias about people who have been justice involved. It's crazy because I don't know about you. I went to law school. I went to college. I was around a bunch of people that are doing crimes all the time. They never got caught. Now they're living great lives, having great jobs. Literally what we're talking about often is the difference between getting caught or not. And when you're caught when you're 15, 16, 17, it's really hard to climb out of that hole. They don't have a place to go like I did for 4 years or 8 years, where I got to mess up, where I got to do really stupid things, where I got, sent to the dean's office once, whatever it was. So you've got a lot of people who are suffering from implicit bias when we hear about, oh, they have a criminal record, they have a felony. You cannot ask about it until you've made a conditional offer of employment. Hey, we actually want you to work here. We've gone through the process. We like you. We've interviewed you. We've talked to some folks. We want to work here with you. But that this offer of employment is conditioned upon us checking your criminal background. Okay. Once they've had that offer, once they've made that offer, they conduct the criminal background. If something comes up, the next phase of the process is, hey, I found something on your criminal record that we don't like. Here's a copy of your record. Here's a copy of the individualized assessment that I'm now required to do as an employer about why it is specifically this conviction is going to keep you from working there. Step 2. Step 3, that person now has the opportunity to say, I hear you, Doug. I hear you. I understand why that might bother you, but let me tell you about things that you might not know from this criminal record. I volunteer at my church 5 days a week and hear letters of support from everybody at my church. I had a substance abuse problem, but I've gone to NA meetings every day for the last 12 years. I sponsor people. I'm a service provider, whatever. That individual now gets the opportunity to mitigate, to have a mitigation meeting with the employer. And that's why this law is actually a great benefit, because what we've lost in HR policy and procedure is the opportunity to be human with one another. And if that person shows up with all the documentation, with all the opportunity to say, I really want to work here, you as an employer can be like, okay, so you didn't just send me an email application like you did everybody else, interview well, now I'm going to hire you. Now you're actually getting to see someone take the strides and steps that you might not get to see until they're actually working in the building. And once that's all said and done, if you have followed all the procedures and you still don't want to hire that person, the law doesn't mandate that you hire them. The law just mandates that you give them the chance, that you give them the opportunity. April is Second Chance Month. That's why I'm happy to be here with Ken. And so that is the fair chance hiring ordinance in a nutshell. What happens after the ordinance is passed? So the county is enforcing the law in 2 ways. One is sending out secret shoppers. All right, I don't know if you've ever worked in a restaurant before, but the way that they used to figure out if you were pouring the drinks right or keeping up with food service laws was they'd send in secret people. A couple acting like they're on a date to go in the restaurant and to watch you do it. And so the county is sending people out into stores looking for the sign, asking for job applications, going through the hiring process just to see what happens. So the DCBA, the Department of Consumer and Business Affairs, is doing that work. They're also enforcing law because if I'm an aggrieved job seeker, if I go and I'm treated a certain way at a job interview, if I see a job posting, if I hear of something that's going on in my workplace, I can report you to the DCBA. And what's the price to pay if you're out of compliance? $5,000 fine for first violation, $10,000 fine for second violation, $20,000 fine for third and subsequent violations each time. So if you put out a job application and 10 people apply and they all report you, that's every aggrieved employee is a violation. And if you're a small or medium-sized business, you get a $200,000 fine because you've been in violation, you might be losing your business. If you're a business that operates with a license, they can come after your license. There's lots of other ways that the county is trying to scare people into submission. That's not actually what I want. Because the result of that, the result of being scared about something, is I'm going to avoid the situation altogether. We want employers not to be forced into hiring people with criminal convictions. We want employers to do it because it's good for them. It helps the bottom line. It solves this workforce shortage. And if you're like me, as an employer, there's no better feeling than seeing somebody thrive and succeed in your business. I met a kid when he was 19 years old. He had dropped out of college because of things that were going on at home. He needed quick money and he had a job at Best Buy and he took this job. And while he was working there, he stole a bunch of stuff. Stole a bunch of computers and sold them on the internet. Why? Not to buy guns or drugs or anything else, but to help his mom pay the rent. And that case came across my desk. And I saw the opportunity to punish this kid the way that I was taught in law school, or to give him the opportunity that Second Chance Month asks us to give people. To put aside this idea about what people are made of because they've done something wrong. but to ask, what is the thing that you've done wrong and what can I do to help that? This kid needed money. He needed income. He didn't need a criminal record of 30 felonies, especially theft felonies. And so I gave him an opportunity. We went out to the community, we got him a job, we got him into college, back into college. 10 years later, I'm at a schmoozy lawyer event, walking around with my suit, pressing the flesh, and who do I see but this young man who's now 29 years old? He's at the same event that I'm at. He owns a home, he has 2 kids, and he's the vice president of a bank. You know, at the time, definitely making more money than I was. And that is one of the memories that I have as a prosecutor that is one of the best. It's not any trial that I want or sending anybody to jail. It's someone who succeeded. And so if you're an employer or just somebody who cares about your workplace, your community, your city, take this opportunity to think about fair chance, spread the word. I got materials and I'm going to leave here. I'm also going to email you a survey because I have to. So if you have the opportunity to fill out the survey, I'm hoping that you do. Give me a good grade, and I'll let you enjoy your Saturday. Really appreciate y'all for listening.
Thank you, great. Adam, this is very important. So again, the AIAA has a work career and workforce subcommittee. So it's a very important thing for AIAA. And as you know, we don't want just Tom Cruise jumping down from the ceiling of the stadium. Aerospace in LA is a very important and big industry. So it's not just Hollywood. So that's the message we want to work with LA City and Adam, so for encourage, the employment opportunity here. So, okay, so we are moving to the